Hello and welcome to Nerdarchy for Nerds by Nerds. I'm Nerdarchy Dave. Today I'm joined by Eric from FryMinis. How are you doing today?
I am fantastic. Thank you for having me on, Dave. This is a dream come true.
Well, I'm happy to make your dreams come true. My friend, you need bigger dreams. If you would like to just kind of like give, introduce yourself and tell people what you do and kind of like where they can find you.
Sure. Yeah. So, hey, everybody. I'm Eric of FryMinis. Fry is my last name. It's a very clever joke. So I paint miniatures. I do YouTube videos. I talk about DM advice, player engagement, open and honest communication, and lots of reviews, unboxings, things like that. So you can find me on YouTube, of course, FryMinis, Instagram, FryMinis, Twitter, FryMinis, Patreon, FryMinis, and FryMinis.com.
I'm
And we have a
sensing a
Discord.
theme.
Yeah. And just this morning, I opened a subreddit. So r/FryMinis. I'm still getting that up and going though.
No cameo yet.
No cameo yet, but maybe soon.
Yeah. It's so all the social media stuff is so overwhelming. Also, folks,
Yeah.
in the description there are links as always. Go click away and follow Eric and check him out.
Mhm.
So yeah, like I want to say like the getting into this and finding all the different social media properties is so overwhelming when you first start. Uh,
Yes.
and then also trying to engage them all. It's mind boggling. And
It's a challenge. Yeah. I'm not on Facebook. That's the one thing I don't do. I know there's a gap there, but I'm okay.
yeah. Well, I when people ask me honestly, I always recommend to go to the places you actually enjoy being, right?
Yeah.
Like if like I don't really particularly care for Reddit, so all of
Yeah.
my attempts over on Reddit have failed. Not no surprise.
You are
Uh,
not alone, sir.
yeah, and personally, we've done really well on Facebook, but also like that was the social media that I enjoyed more than other ones.
Yeah.
So that to me that also makes sense. It's like for social media to work for you, you have to just go there and kind of hang out.
Yeah,
And
I've had a struggle with Reddit. Whenever I post my stuff there, I'm downvoted into oblivion almost immediately. For example, I just did a live stream yesterday, first look at Van Richten's, and
yeah,
I posted that on Reddit, and then downvote, downvote, downvote. And then this morning, I find somebody else has posted just a couple excerpts, and they've got tons of upvotes, and they referenced my video as proof that their leak was real.
oh,
uh, yeah, so it's thanks to that person for linking to my video in there. I
yeah.
appreciated that, but it's you can't win.
Yeah, well, Reddit hates when you share your stuff there. They want you to create original content and put it on Reddit and only Reddit ever. Because I
Yeah,
mean, because
yeah,
we when we started out, I did a lot more blogging, and I'm like, why am I going to recreate this article over here? We can discuss it here. That'd be cool,
yeah,
but I'm not going to re-put it here. That's for sure.
yeah. So I heard a really great idea from a fellow content creator to create your own subreddit. So I that's what I did this morning. So
Yeah.
hopefully I'll at least have some place there. We'll see.
Yeah, I mean, we ended up doing that, and then it eventually got abandoned because like
Yeah.
every one of those things is its own job, right? Like
Mhm.
creating content, on your YouTube channel. In our case, we also blog and write articles, have a newsletter, and then and then each of the social media sites could just be someone's job all by itself. So,
Absolutely, 100%. Yeah.
so what is your release schedule like?
Yeah, so every Tuesday and Thursday, I post on Instagram a hand painted mini. So one of the minis I've painted. And then on every Sunday, usually Sunday morning around 10 or 11 a.m. Central, I post a video on YouTube. Right now, things with Van Richten's, I'm gonna go a little off schedule, but typically Tuesday and Thursday for Instagram, Sunday for YouTube, and then Twitter messages throughout the week.
Um, Now, how's your gaming been since the end times had begun?
Yeah, so we of course we moved our game from physical to virtual, and we struggled. We've tried a couple different VTTs, a couple different platforms. First, we tried Dungeon Fog. I use Dungeon Fog to create a lot of my maps. I love Dungeon Fog. Not a sponsor or anything, just a really big fan of their system. And so on Dungeon Fog, It has a limited VTT, and nowadays it's expanded. But when we were trying it a year ago, the DM or the host of the map had to move everybody's tokens manually themselves, and that worked great. That was okay. But we eventually, with a different group, we expanded to try Foundry. Foundry was absolutely phenomenal. It is the most robust VTT I've ever seen in my life. It's moddable, it's editable, changeable, but it is very technical. It has a very big entry to mastery on it. So then we've updated now. We're on Owlbear Rodeo, and I am a fan of Owlbear Rodeo. It's great. It's only a virtual tabletop. It's just literally just for the map, just for token management, for combat kind of things. And then you can do all of your mechanics and rolling in person and physical dice, or through D&D Beyond or whatever dice roller. It even actually does have a dice roller built into it you can use, but it's not linked to anything. And it's super easy. So if I've got a goblin and you hit it for 1 damage on there, I'll just change its name to like -1. And then if you hit it for 2 more, -3. It's easy to track that way. I love Owlbear Rodeo. I can't wait to see them continue to grow.
Yeah, I saw Nate from WASD20 using it. Yeah. We were talking a little bit before we got started, and I had the same internal reaction that you had externally when I said I also use Dungeon Fog as like a VTT. Like you're the only person I ever met that does that.
100%. Nobody else.
Yeah, but I do like the mapping. Like, and I'm pretty sure I use it for about 1/10 of what you can do with it.
Yeah.
But it was one of the more like intuitive programs. It doesn't make me feel like I have to be proficient in AutoCAD.
Yeah, so typically I'll use Dungeon Fog for my interior maps, and then Incarnate for my world maps. Although I haven't actually been over on Incarnate in a little bit, but I believe they've added battle map capabilities now, so I need to check that out. I've tried Wonder Draft and Dungeon Draft, and those look fantastic. I just I haven't spent enough time with those yet.
Did you see the Kickstarter for Dungeon Alchemist?
Yeah, I signed up for that. I'm excited to see how it goes, and I thought the Kickstarter was pretty low entry to cost, so I did go for that. But I'm pretty particular with designing my dungeon, so I'm not sure how much I'll use the randomness of it, but I am excited to check it out as a new tool.
Yeah, I mean, I like the fact that if it works the way it's supposed to, that you can just like draw boxes.
Yeah, I just worry though, like if it's popping in random rooms, what's like the story of that dungeon? And I'm not trying to be like, oh, everything has to be a particular exact thing, but if you've got a random alchemy lab right off of the main dining hall, like that's weird.
Yeah. Well, we'll see how it goes.
Yeah, we'll see. Exactly.
It's supposed to be customizable.
Oh, okay.
So, like, even if it does something you don't like, you can change it or remove objects or change the objects.
Okay, cool. It looks awesome, and I can't wait to see more. If you don't mind, I'd like to do a quick shout out to all these cool people in the chat.
Yeah,
thanks for joining, everybody. I see my wife Julie in there. I see Wally. Rivers is everywhere. If you don't know that little green dot.
Yeah. No, Rivers comes and hangs out with us often.
Yeah. Kristen, Lunch Break Heroes, TJ, Twisted, everybody. This is great. Thank you for joining in.
I really have noticed that like there's this small creator community that's like really sprung up and seems very tight knit, where like the bigger channels are more like islands unto themselves.
Definitely.
I mean, for a little while, like we did the Saber Dice thing, so we would kind of hang out. But now it's like I hardly see any of those guys since that's disbanded. Matter of fact, I just reached out to Guy the other day to get him on here to see if he wants to pop in for a chat to hang out.
Oh, cool.
Really, it's just an excuse to catch up and hang out because I used to connect with a lot of those people on Facebook, but back in like July, my account got hacked and banned.
Oh.
So I feel isolated, even more so, after the end times.
Yeah. But I completely agree. Having a strong community is amazing. It's yesterday we had a bunch of people on my stream, more than I normally would, and it it felt cool having those
Yeah.
people go back and forth those questions. One of my favorite things is my Discord. We've got like 60 something people on there. So Discord wise is relatively small, but we've got, so of course there are some users that are more active than others, but great conversations, people supporting each other, reviewing their others' work, ideas on painting, on homebrew fixes. It's absolutely awesome. And every Friday night at 8:30 Central on our Discord, we have a Friday night painting session. So anybody can pop in there and join us as we paint on camera. I might miss it this week to push out a couple more videos for Van Richten's, but it's super awesome. I love our community.
So is that just a bunch of people kind of jumping on, throwing their cameras on,
Yeah,
and just chatting while they paint?
exactly. We'll pop. Oh, what do you think we should do for this color? And then we're just
Yeah.
like just small talk throughout and see how everybody's week's been, how everybody's day is going. One of our friends who joins the stream, he had a health issue right before one of the streams, and then he's been back on the stream during, like, from the hospital because he just
Oh
wants to
wow.
come hang out with us.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. He's doing better, I think.
Nice. Yeah. So we use Zoom for a lot of things, and the one group I play with is like my son, my nephew, my wife, and my son's friend. And my son is like, "Why aren't we using Discord? Why are we using Zoom?"
Yeah, yeah. I had never used Discord before this D&D stuff, and
Yeah.
but I'm sold. I love Discord. I think it's great. I do wish the step from the first tier of the server boost to the second server boost wasn't so incredibly expensive to get up there, but otherwise it's great. That's what I use for our games when we play, the chat, the video, everything works great.
Yeah, I think I just came too late to Discord.
Mm.
Because by the time like Discord came out and started getting popular, we already had so many different places that we were that I just saw one more place where I'm gonna have people screaming in my direction from. And it gets overwhelming after a while because it's like people are direct messaging and tweeting you on Twitter.
Yeah.
You have direct messages on Facebook. You're getting emails through our website, and so comments on YouTube, obviously. So after a while, it just gets overwhelming.
Yeah, I used to my wife and I used to play World of Warcraft, and back then, like vanilla, and everybody would use Ventrilo at the time. And then after WoW, I didn't play any online games for a very long time. I played a lot of Skyrim, and then I came back and nobody's using Vent, and everybody's using Discord, and it was a surprise.
Yeah. Oh, speaking of World of Warcraft, did you see the Kickstarter from the from the co-founders?
Metzen, yeah, the campaign setting.
Yeah,
I haven't.
Araburian or something like that.
Yeah, like Ouroboros.
Yeah, yeah.
Like the snake thing. Yeah, that looks exciting. I need to learn more about it, but at first blush, I'm excited.
Yeah, they actually got a boost from Wizards of the Coast, which is kind of surprising too.
Oh, yeah.
When they first announced doing it, I saw that. So he's coming to take over the D&D scene next.
I mean, you say what you want about World of Warcraft and its gameplay, but you can't say no to its lore. Its lore is phenomenal.
I can't say, dude. The only thing I know about the World of Warcraft is I've read a few of the novels.
Oh.
Love Thrall, and
Yeah.
and like I used to play like the real time strategy
Oh, yeah.
game. So that
Yeah. So not WoW or Warcraft or anything, but my very first experience with anything Dungeons and Dragons was the original Baldur's Gate.
okay, yeah,
That first one. And I still remember it. My dad's friend, he had the game, and my dad thought I might like the game, so he took me over to his house. And I don't know if you remember, but it came with like 6 or 9 CDs in like a big fold out. And he was in the in one of the forests outside of that hedge mage's house where you find that archer, and he was just out there killing gnolls to take their 1 gold halberds.
yeah.
and then so after that we got it, and I was absolutely addicted. Baldur's Gate 1, Baldur's Gate 2. I'm really excited for Baldur's Gate 3. But after Baldur's Gate 2, I didn't play any D&D until 5th edition, and that wasn't even until like Xanathars came out. And so some of my very first D&D videos of all that I ever saw were actually yours, when you're doing the upcoming Xanathars class breakdowns. Those videos.
Oh, so you're pretty new to the hobby.
Yeah, very new.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I usually if I pick up a hobby, I usually go kind of all in.
Yeah.
Yep.
It's funny because I've seen a bit of that, right? Where it's like people are like jumping into the hobby, but then it's like balls to the wall. They're they're starting companies and YouTube channels.
Yeah. Yeah, one of my recent videos was when it's time to take a break. Like if you're getting overwhelmed, when you need to just like skip a session and just get some mental health time to take care of that. And I open it with, if you're watching this video, you're probably a fan of miniature painting or D&D, dungeon mastering, and if you are on any of those hobbies, there's a good chance you are at least mildly obsessive about those hobbies. So 100%
Accurate.
with you. Yeah.
Yeah. Have you seen Describe?
Only in the 1 trillion ads. They didn't reach out to me for sponsorship.
Yeah. Yeah, so they are doing they're doing a bunch of ads. But like one of the co-founder like wasn't a D&D player before the pandemic, and also would ridicule and make fun of his brother-in-law who he then ended up during the pandemic, they started a group and started playing, and then fell in love with it, and then they started that company. So,
I did not know that. That is exciting. That's cool.
Yeah, so it's weird. Like there seems to be a bit of that going on. You said you started your channel recently too because of having time.
Yeah. So my very first couple videos are unlisted at this point because I didn't know what I was doing.
Yeah.
But it was I think it was late February or early March of 2020 when I did my first video upload. And then it was maybe August or so that before I kind of got a good handle on it and stuck with a regular Sunday upload schedule, and that's where I've been ever since. I'm obligated to give a shout out to the dungeon coach. He's been a big help with lots of advice to get me squared up. So thanks to Alan.
Yeah, he's a good dude. I enjoyed talking to him. And I also like telling his story because to me it's really like bizarre, but in a good way.
He's a rocket ship. Yeah.
No, not that, not even the YouTube side. Just like, the fact that he coaches all these athletes and then they're in his like D&D groups, these types of kids.
Yeah, no, that would be a cool way to kind of workshop different ideas.
Yeah. Well, I mean, like I come from an era like Satanic Panic. It definitely was not cool to be a nerd or a gamer back then. So the idea that now there's someplace somewhere in a high school, there's a bunch of jocks sitting around rolling funny shaped dice, pretending to be elves and halflings and gnomes running around in the woods.
100%.
Yeah. It just it hits me just so.
Yeah. I started actually playing through Adventurers League. I was super excited about that. There's a local game store, Brick House, and that's where I first went. I posted on Reddit looking for some people to meet up because I wasn't sure how it would work out. And another player who responded to that Reddit post, we met up and we went to the store and we got into a random game. And that DM happened to be our DM for a while. And then as that group grew, that turned into our full-time group. So Adventurers League, meeting random people, absolutely fantastic. And that was actually one of my very first kind of claim to fames was season, I guess that would have been season 8 or season 7. I made the Frylog, which was the character. It was like a tracker for your log, for your adventures. And it was a form fillable PDF, and I put it on the DMs Guild for free to download. And it's thousands and thousands and thousands of views. And people would post on Facebook, because I was in the AL Facebook group at the time. And like in Malaysia, there was a huge group of people who would post pictures holding their Frylog in Malaysia, saying like, thanks to Eric for the Frylog. So there was that was my first experience with realizing the reach of D&D and its global availability.
Yeah. I mean, it's always cool to have someone on from like a different country.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm like, what's the D&D scene like over in Israel? So-
Yeah. Yeah.
or Belgium or wherever,
Yeah.
I had
It was
run
just translated into Italian, I believe, fairly recently.
yeah. I think a lot of places still not translated. But they're still
Right.
playing it.
Yeah.
I even talked to someone and they're like, actually, when I play D&D, I always play in English, even though that's not their like native language. They're like, I feel weird role playing in my native language.
I've always wondered about the spells that have like a 30-foot radius for people that use the far more common sense metric system.
Yeah, yeah.
And if they translate that for their locales, or if they just stick with feet because that's tied to the 5-foot grid.
I'm sure there's a conversion someplace
Yeah.
for all of that, but yeah. How much is it? How much is a 5-foot square in metric?
Yeah. Somebody in the chat, if you pick up the player's handbook in Europe, does it list feet?
Yeah. How to defeat American D&D gamer? Just convert everything to metric.
Yeah.
It won't be able to do anything.
Yeah.
Um,
So, Dave, how often do you paint minis? I don't think I've ever seen a mini.
Never. Like I painted my first mini at Origins in probably 20. Let's see, probably like 2017, 2018.
Oh, same time as me. Look at that.
And Jason Avavato, I'm probably butchering his name, from Rumsmith TV invited me to do one of their paint and takes, and I'm like, sure. I've never painted a mini, but I'll do this. And like I already knew without doing it that I wasn't going to enjoy painting minis.
Yeah.
But I enjoyed hanging out with those guys. They're a great bunch over there, and just chatting. Like literally, if I had it my way, I would just dunk it in cans of paint. I just am not cut out for fine detail work.
Well, all I can say is practice. And if you don't want to, of course, it's no problem. But on my Instagram, my very first post on my Instagram was the very first mini I ever painted, and it is atrocious. It is terrible, awful. I didn't know what I was doing. I had the wrong kind of paints. I had the wrong kind of brushes. It was so bad. But now, I mean, there's a small difference between a bad painter and a good painter.
Yeah.
But then there's a 100 miles between a good painter and a great painter. And I feel like I'm 2 feet into the past the good painter, but I'm getting better, and I think it shows in my work.
I was so happy when third edition they came out with pre-painted minis. I was like, yes,
Yep.
I can have cool minis on the table, and I don't have to do anything. Also, Hero Forge came out with their color prints,
Yes.
which they're crazy good. But you're absolutely right as far as like the difference between a good painter and like someone who's a professional.
Yeah.
I remember.
Oh, go ahead.
I was just gonna say I remember doing this before, and someone reached out to us and they're like, "Hey, I paint minis professionally. Can I come on and talk about that?" I'm like, "Yeah, whatever." And then I looked them up and I was, "Oh my god, these are so good! Yeah, come on!" And that was Zach from Blues Like Painting.
Oh,
He's done a couple minis for, well, at this point it might be more than that, but for like Matt Colville and stuff.
oh wow.
So
Yeah, it's crazy how good some humans are. It's absolutely mind blowing. I'd like to go to ReaperCon because I'm here in Texas.
yeah,
For Reaper Minis, it's their convention, and they have like a contest. You can paint contest you can do, and I'll go in there and I'll see some that are like entry level, and then I'll see a lot that are kind of at my tier where they're good, but they're not not this like amazing level that some of these are that are just it blows your mind how these people can do like these like super straight lines and it's tiny, like thinner than your hair. I don't think I'll ever be that good, but like,
they're not human.
Yeah,
It's the only explanation.
I did win my first award. So ReaperCon was virtual last year, but the year before that, I won a bronze for this little diorama that I did. I was really proud of it. It was my first painting award, and I'm excited for this year to enter again and hopefully move up to a silver. That'd be awesome for me. But we'll see.
Yeah, that would be super cool. Yeah, Ted does enough mini painting and terrain stuff for both of us.
Yeah. And I one of my favorite websites is minisgallery.com. I don't know if you're familiar with that, but it's a whole community around miniatures, but more around the pre-painted minis. So there are people there who have 10, 20, 30,000 minis. They'll have literally every official mini that's ever come up, and they can answer any questions. They're a great resource over there. And you can also see upcoming products over there too.
Do you also do terrain builds?
Not a lot. So my my setup here at home, we play on the dining room table, and then I built this crisscross wood stand that we lay a TV on, and then I'll do virtual maps that I'd make in Dungeon Fog, or I'd get from some Patreons, like Advanced Battle Maps. I think they're called Advanced Dungeons. And then we would just play on there. So not a lot of terrain.
I mean, that's fine. I've seen a bunch of people do that as well. They use the VTTs, but with real minis, and just
Exactly.
everyone can move their mini around, and it gives you the benefit of doing that as well, integrating the technology with the analog, I guess.
Yeah, it's cool. My players like it. I like it. It's easy. I've got thousands of minis. We did a video one time about how I store these, and we counted them up. And Julie can remind me, but I think it was like 3,000 minis or something, which compared to other people is nothing, but it's still quite a few here.
How many orcs do you have?
Oh, I have a whole tray. Here we go. Let's see, orcs. So the orcs and the gnolls live together on one tray.
Nice.
These are IKEA shelves, the letter sorters. It's easy to organize, cheap to buy.
Nice.
So I would say 30 orcs at an eyeball.
Yeah, you have to be a good terrain builder to assemble the IKEA anyway. So
Yeah. Hilariously, the half orc hero, I'm not gonna get it zoomed in on the camera. That was my very first one I painted. Was a player character. My very first time we literally ever played. My wife was the DM for like a one shot that we had like 12 people over, because we had no idea how it would work, and we were just guessing. And so we for Firebolt, we'd be like, D10. What if you roll a 1? That's so little. Oh, you must add your intelligence modifier to it or something. Yeah.
There's nothing wrong with that. That's how you play the game. Whatever works for you.
Exactly. Yeah. Customize the game. Make it for your table. If your table, common homebrew rules, right? Like bonus action for healing potion to give it to yourself, full action to give it to somebody else. Whatever just works for your players. One of my most popular homebrews with us is we use a custom inspiration system. So we've got 3 tiers of inspiration. So there's a bronze inspiration that you can use to re-roll one of your rolls, a silver inspiration that you can use to re-roll one of your peers or yours, and then the gold inspiration, which is the hardest to get. You can do any of those other 2 options, or make your DM re-roll.
Nice.
So that's like if you show up, if you build a whole costume, or you do something really, really dramatic. That's how you could get a gold.
I think Doug runs our website, and he does that as well. But just with his inspiration, it's just inspiration, and you can use it to make your DM reroll.
Yeah.
I'm waiting for the time that someone's like annoyed at one of the other players and the DM rolls bad, and when they're being attacked, and they're just like, reroll that.
Yeah. As long as it's all in good fun, I'm down for whatever.
For sure. Do you find yourself in the DM seat more often, or as a player?
Definitely DM more often. I started as a player, and I miss playing. I miss playing, particularly like with Adventurers League, like Hero Forge you were talking about. I would make so many characters. I'd get the Hero Forge minis. And when they did their Kickstarter for the color versions, I did that. So I've got like 10 or whatever of the like coupons for the painted or the not the painted, the colored versions, ready to go, but I don't have any characters to get printed, so they're just sitting there waiting for me to redeem at some point. But I love DMing. I love building your whole world, telling a story, making your players happy, creating a good time for your friends. DMing brings a lot. And if you don't if you want to play a character, make an NPC for that story, and then you can run that for a little while, and then eventually they die off, and you can just do whatever you want. Have a monster, give it your own stats, whatever. The flexibility there. And I really love World Anvil. I'm a big fan of World Anvil, and using that website to create all the information for the world, and it's all accessible even if you're not playing, so your players can study up on it. I like to put what each shop has for sale, so if the players want to look in between sessions, they can, and then when they come next week, they say, oh hey, I saw the new flame tongue longsword, I want to try to buy that.
Nice.
It's really cool.
Do you use more homebrew stuff or official?
I like to use official stuff as a jumping off point. So one of my best campaigns that we've ever done was built around Saltmarsh, but it was totally different than the book. So we used a lot of the NPCs and the general cities and stuff, but then I made it into its own island called the Boglands. And then there was a castle, and then the players cleared out the castle, and they could take that over. And then they made it was like a war between the humans and the Sawagan, and then the players became their own faction, and they became kind of antagonistic with the humans, and it was a lot of fun. We had territory, so I like to use them as jumping off points. The official adventures.
Yeah, I mean, that stuff is great for inspiration. To help, and also that's a lot of the tedious work that that DMing is, right? So you can just go to the official stuff and cherry pick the stuff that you need. It saves a lot of time. I mean, Sly Flourish is big on that kind of stuff.
One of the campaigns I'm DMing right now, it's built like an adventurers guild. So the players are this party that are employed kind of. So in Skyrim, the I forget what they're called, but the Norse, whatever. So they go around and they get quests basically from their leader to go out and help this community to clear out this tomb, to protect these people. And so they get these, and then they level up within this guild. It's kind of like Acquisitions Incorporated in principle, but totally different in practice. And that way, so the players then can pick which of if they want to do a small quick quest, or if they want to do a big involved thing. And so they get the freedom to choose how they want to play the game. And then I've got all these prepared, and some of them I make up, more of them than I should I make up. But the idea was I could slot in an Adventurers League module, or a quick one shot, or something from Saltmarsh or Candlekeep, and I can pick and pluck those. And so I think an approach like that is really good for a group that is more of a casual group. So a lot of people play D&D for a long, big, epic story, and that's awesome. But then a lot of people play D&D that's just the excuse to hang out with your friends. And so when you have that kind of a game, I think something that's a little lower stakes and just casual, I think helps. And that way it helps me with my time management too. Because if you're spending 20 hours to prep for a 4-hour session, you're going to get burnt out really, really quick.
We do something similar with our fan base games, because we just pick random people every month and run a game, and we'll rotate out who's GMing. So we've always done a mercenary company or adventurings guild. Exactly. Is the premise. So that's the issues why they're all together. And also it can be it's a one shot, right? So you need a definitive starting place and ending place for this adventure.
You got it.
So it's just here you go. This person told you to do the thing. This is what you guys are doing.
Yeah, you nailed it. New players can come and go easily. If a character dies, it's no problem. If a player gets tired of their character and they want to try something else, guess what? They brought over there was a transfer. Your old character is now in this other group, and your new character has joined the group. It's easy
Yeah,
peasy.
it's super easy. You know, especially for one shots. I like things to be
Yeah.
very linear. You know, I like to have like a definitive starting point so that you know the players have freedom of choice after that point, but not before,
Yeah.
and a place for it to end. Because like I guess one of the things like Ted ran one for the fans, and it was like clearly they had to go into a town, into a specific spot, and do a thing. And they were like 10th level, so he's like, you know, you guys just have 10th level characters, so you're just going whatever mundane equipment you want, just write it down, you have it.
Yeah.
They get to the town, what do they want to do? They want to go shopping.
Yeah.
And like
Yeah.
like they spent like 2 hours doing everything but the adventure.
the the one thing you can count on with players is to do what you didn't count on.
Yeah, so I mean, I feel like anything that has time constraints, you need to throw some guardrails up a little bit.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's a great point. Sometimes, like we, of course, we don't want to railroad our players, but especially for a one shot, I think it's okay as DM to be like, "Hey, like we're here to play this game. Like, work with me." a
Yeah,
little bit.
yeah. One shots, conventions, anything
Exactly.
like that. It's like you have to give them a clear premise, an objective, and have them understand like we're here to do this one specific thing
Yeah. No,
and get it done.
I'm glad you brought up conventions because DMing AL games at conventions was one of my favorite things. I don't do a lot of AL stuff anymore now that I'm all homebrewy on
Yeah.
everything. But at conventions where you have the random, complete, total random players come in, they might one time we have had a whole group that came in together to play in a game that I'd never met before, and they were tons of fun. But you have these people, and it's you don't want to make it like a factory experience where you're like churning them through, but you only have so many hours to complete things. So you need to keep everybody on track. And then if it's like a level one and you're at a convention, it can be people who have never played D&D. So then you need to boil it down while still staying in AL rules. And I found the thing that's the most successful is to just tell this new player, tell me what you want to do, and then we'll figure out how to do it. So if you literally say, oh, there's a goblin over there, I want to attack the goblin, and then we can walk you through how to roll. But that way it takes that fear of knowing the mechanics away from them a little bit, and they can open up and they can role play and they can have a fun and a memorable experience.
I mean, new players sometimes they can be a lot more fun and more. You can have more interesting outcomes because I pretty much just do the same. I'm like, you just tell me what you want to do. Don't really worry about your character sheet so much.
Yeah.
And yeah, we'll figure it out from there. And honestly, I take the same approach when I'm learning a new game. I'm just like, look, how about I just tell you what I want to do, and you let me know what I have to do to make that happen or not happen, as the case may be.
Yeah. 100% agree. No fun allowed. Yeah. He ran Candlekeep Mysteries. He ran every single adventure in there.
Yeah.
All within the span of like a week or two, and I happened to be able to sit in and play on one of his games, and he did a fantastic job of keeping a one shot to a one shot. You just here's the stuff you have, here's who you are, whatever, here's your level, here we go, and then he just takes it away and narrates a lot of it to keep the game moving. So it's definitely possible to do a well put together but still timely one shot.
Do you have a sweet spot for running games as far as levels?
So I know this isn't a popular answer, but I am a tier 1 guy. I love level 1 through 4. I love level 1 in particular. I love the risky chance to die from a single swing on a crit.
Yeah.
It's fun. I think when you have fewer tools, so you don't get as bogged down into thinking about what you want to do. Just for example, the obvious example is like a wizard, right? If you're a level 8 wizard, you can do a lot of really crazy stuff, but it's easy to get lost on how you want to do it, and you might end up just cantripping. But if you're level 1, you've only got a couple things, so you have to manage your resources. You have to be strategic with your thinking. You need to try to stay alive. I love 5th edition, obviously. But if there's one complaint I have about fifth edition, it's player death. And I'm not trying to run around and kill everybody's players, but that up and down healing word, as DM, that can be a little annoying sometimes because it's so hard to kill a player. And again, I'm not trying to kill players, but death is so rare.
Well, it's not even killing them or not killing them. It's like players aren't afraid to go down.
Yeah,
because you can pop them up. I've considered house rules like maybe exhaustion. If you go down or something like that, which because it's like the most brutal mechanic in the game.
Yeah.
I totally get that.
I've liked the idea of when you go down, you lose like one of your death save like capabilities, like of the three pass, three fail. Like you only have two once you go down, and then if you go down a second time, then you only have one left, and then if you go down a third time, then you're gone. I like that idea. We haven't done it because my players are pretty casual players, which is totally fine. But my wife would be very angry if we killed one of her characters. Although we did one time. It was a very first session, and she challenged a equivalent to like a level 5 or 6 drow to a death fight in a bar, and she died. I think that's the one time I've really killed a player. I did one other time, but we came up with a surprise Revivify availability to get him back in the game.
Yeah, I mean, I've definitely had those experiences where I had a game where I killed my wife and my son like pretty early in the adventure. So I ended up walking it back as a dream sequence or a vision to have them kind of give them a do-over since they were pretty new to the hobby. And then it gave them a chance to like rework the fight and figure out what they did wrong. Kind of. But I've also over the years killed a lot of players as well.
So what you just said there, that's a struggle I have. If I have one big struggle as DM, it's staying out of the game. I always want to suggest, well, here's a strategy. If you did this, maybe that could happen, because that's how I play. Like I'm trying to picture all the different ways to do something, and staying hands off is my biggest challenge for me personally.
I struggle with that a lot of times when I'm a player.
Oh, for other characters, yeah.
For not as much for that, but somewhat as well. But also for the DM, like I want to armchair DM, and I'm like, no, Dave, shut up.
Yeah.
If someone else is running, let them do their thing.
Yeah, and it's really tricky when it's like a heavily homebrewed game with another DM, because you don't know what is a homebrew change versus what they just have wrong.
Yeah, or with someone, and like you said, also like someone doing something that's very untactical.
Yeah,
I know. Like in one of the games, I was like, "No, hit this character. They're paralyzed. It's a crit."
Yeah. And what do you mean the dragon just lands on the ground and just attacks me with its claws? That's all it's gonna do? What?
Yeah.
Yeah. Like,
where's the strafing run?
Exactly. Yeah. Like if. Yeah, and that's what's interesting, right? As DM, is you need to balance that about playing a character to its full like tactical capability. Because like the dragon's just gonna stay in the air and just wait till it recharges its breath, and then just like keep doing that.
Well, I'm glad to see your wife does not hold a grudge.
Yeah, no, she's great. She's the best.
She's secretly waiting for a chance to challenge you to a duel in real life.
Yeah.
Remember that character of mine you killed?
Yeah.
10 years ago. I know, and I've been training with this sword ever since.
But it's okay, because after that, we were testing out a system of rolling a random character. And I had this whole system where the more random things you picked, the more perks you could get. So like if you did fully randomized everything on these tables, you could like max out a stat, like bump it up to 18, or start with extra inspiration or whatever. Or you could just pick. You could fully pick each option, and like that's what you want to do. That's cool. But she ended up doing the randomized after that, and she was playing a Lokatha, which was a fun experience. And one of the other players had actually rolled a Lokatha. So we had two Lokatha going through Fandelver, and
There
it
is
was a hoot.
a couple of years ago. There was an Unearthed Arcana that had a random character generation system.
Oh, I'm not familiar.
It wasn't bad. We like ran a we did like a one shot where someone ran us. We rolled up the random characters and then we went through it. I think I was playing a halfling diviner with like a 6 strength.
Yeah, and so that's a challenge for me as a player. Is there's I want to be clear. There's nothing wrong with optimizing your character with maximizing it. There's totally no judgment, but sometimes my brain will go down that rabbit hole of thinking about character builds of, well, if I do this, then I could take this and this and this, and then I end up playing a stat block instead of a character.
Yeah.
So that's why I like the idea of a randomized character, at least for me, because you end up with weird stuff like a Lokatha Artificer, and you just you get to play that character and build it into something. It might not be optimal, but who cares? You're playing with your friends. You're here to have fun. But whatever floats your boat.
Fister.
Like sister.
Fister. Yeah, that's great.
Yeah. But yeah, ultimately, my whole thing with YouTube is to make your table feel like safe and welcome and open and just available. You're all there to have fun. You're all there to play a game. So work together. And spoiler, most of my videos boil down to whatever your problem is, it can most likely be fixed through open and honest communication, which can be hard to do, especially, I mean, there are a lot of people that play D&D and other games who might not be super familiar with social interactions. So having honest conversations can be a real challenge. But this is, if there's anybody to try to work on it with, it's these people. These are your friends. These are your family. That's who we need to talk to, figure it out.
Yeah, I mean, we've gotten so many questions over the years, and they're all like, "How do I fix this out of game problem in game?" I'm like, you can't. Like,
Yeah.
all the actions you're describing are directed by a person from outside the game, and you got to cut it off at the source or fix it at the source. You're not gonna you can only exasperate and make it worse.
Yeah, it can be really hard to talk to another person to say, hey, I have a problem. We have a problem with your behavior, and we need to fix this. It can be really hard and really scary. And then if you need to progress beyond that of potentially removing this person from your table, that can be horrifying. And especially if it's somebody who is like already in your friend group, but it is what it is. If it's ruining,
it's very
the
personal. It's
yeah.
difficult for sure.
Yeah, but I think that's a good life skill for anything, being able to talk to people.
So have you had to remove any players from your games?
One time, yeah. And it was not easy, but
was it someone from one of your friend groups?
It was somebody who had been playing with us for a while. That we met through Adventurers League. So we weren't like best friends with this person, but we made it through. But now if you're talking strictly random AL games, yes, I've had to remove many people from the table. People making wildly inappropriate conversations, doing things to characters that shouldn't be done, and talking in ways to people that just aren't okay. So it'll vary. Random people versus people,
Yeah. Nah, I mean, I've been playing this game for a while now, right? So we've definitely have had those instances where we've had to uninvite people just because they just did not gel with the group.
Yeah, it's just like any group in life. You'll have great people, you'll have awful people, and then you'll have most people somewhere in the middle. Nobody's perfect, but it depends on what kind of flaws they have, if those flaws are a deal breaker for you and your group or not.
Have you ventured into any other RPGs yet?
No. I would love to get into Pathfinder. The Ancestry system looks so cool. I love all the feats, and I've watched a lot of No Nat's video, No Nat One, his
Yeah.
videos. Gallant Goblin, they're really into Pathfinder nowadays. But with I don't know.
I would
Just having,
kind of recommend playing something else first.
oh, okay.
The,
Recommendations?
well, there's so many. There's so many good games. Cipher System, Monster of the Week. Pretty much a bunch of the Powered by the Apocalypse. Only because right, like I'm not saying you shouldn't play Pathfinder. I'm currently playing a game now, but it's going to give you a very similar experience to playing D&D,
Okay. I see what you
right?
mean.
With just with more stuff to it, compared to if you were to play, a completely like different system and different game than than what you're kind of already used to.
Yeah, I hear a lot about Call of Cthulhu.
Yeah. So like I feel like it's a good place to explore other genres as well.
Well, whenever you'd like to invite me to a game, I'm happy to appear.
Nice. So I'll definitely keep that in mind. Like right now we're getting ready to start next week we're starting up Ingest Quest, which is the spiritual successor to the previous game that we ran. It was basically or I shouldn't say Nerder Doug ran on the channel, and it was a D&D 5e Spelljammer game. Well,
Okay.
now we're doing a campaign too. There's only one player from the original game and the GM that are left over from that. But now we're going to use the Quest RPG,
Huh.
which is completely different. I don't really know the system. It's like very simplistic. It's roll a d20. There's no modifiers.
Oh, okay.
And and the character creation system is like it's a bit different because like most of the stuff you're just describing your character, and you're like picking equipment and stuff that can like do like crazy fantastical things or nothing nothing at all, right? Like Doug was telling me he made a character and like he had things on his inventory like sunscreen, right? So
Well, maybe he was a drow.
and then well it's funny because he was like and then the world we ended up playing in, it happened to be like these cities that were under these shields, these domes that were failing, and now like we're exposed to the harmful UV rays of the sun. He's like, this is perfect, I have sunscreen on my character sheet.
I do love it when a DM makes the game fit their characters.
I think that was an accident, a happy
Oh, really? Okay.
yeah. Like so like I ran a Cipher System game on the channel that was like a hodgepodge of Flash Gordon meets
Cool.
Thundar the Barbarian meets the year 2020. So so yes, play Pathfinder, but like if you want like a different experience than what you're used to, like there's a bunch of other games that are
No, that's
very,
a great
very
idea.
different.
Great point. I totally see what you mean.
There's actually like I don't even think about Pathfinder as playing a different game. I just feel like I'm playing another version of D&D.
Sure. Yeah. Well, because the Pathfinder is a spin-off of 3.5, right?
Yeah. So, but like the things that you mentioned, I also like. I like the ancestry thing. I like the way they build characters. Like I think the way they did it is way better than how Wizards of the Coast is going about it. But again, it's also much harder to make your race rules backwards compatible. Like,
Yeah.
So what they're doing is much harder.
Yeah. So one of the things that I really, really like in the in Van Richten's is the lineages. So your race is like if you're born an elf, you're an elf. That's your race.
Yeah.
But a lineage is if you're transformed. So if you become a Dampier, like you're bitten by a vampire kind of thing, then that's your lineage, and that overwrites your race functionally. But one new thing that's in the book that wasn't in the Unearthed Arcana is there's a new ability for all the lineages called Ancestral Legacy. So if your previous race gave you proficiencies or special speeds, so like if you're an Aarakocra, so you could fly, you keep that. So if you're a character that's transformed like mid game, you keep some of your flavor. But
Okay.
but if it's a new character, if you level 1, you're going to start out as a Dampier, you get 2 skill proficiencies. So
Oh,
I
okay.
think,
So that's
yeah,
how they kind of like justify
yeah.
difference
So
between
it works.
transitioning.
Exactly. It works for new characters or characters that have actively been transformed.
Yeah.
I think it's a shockingly good way to keep a little bit of flavor.
Yeah. At first, when you started explaining, I'm like, oh, players won't take advantage of abuse this at all. But then you're like, no, that's if you transform later on.
Yeah, yeah.
What did
So
you think of
which can
Van
get cool.
Richten so far?
I absolutely love it. I'm shocked at how good it is. I think the subclasses are cool. I'm glad the warlock damage was turned down a little bit. I'll have videos out for that later this week. I think the lineages are really cool too, but my favorite part is the more DM type of stuff. So it
Mm.
talks about literally how to run horror games, like how to set the atmosphere, how to get your party on the same page, how to make sure everybody understands that there might be some scary stuff. There might be stuff that they're not okay with. And if you encounter that, stop the game and talk through it. I'm not joking when I say I think a lot of this is better than the DMG itself at actually running a game. It's Van Richten's, I think, is going to be a big book for a very long time.
Yeah. So real quick, anyone who's listening and wants to know more, you actually did like a live stream last night, yesterday.
Yeah, exactly. So last
Yeah.
night we did a first look live stream where we flipped through a lot of the book, uh, and that's available on my channel. Just click on the live section and it's there. Otherwise, on my Twitter and everything, we've got it linked out there. But then later throughout the week, I'm going to be putting together some videos. So we just got the book yesterday, so I've still got a little bit of reading to do. But it's really cool. Go over Dampier's. I see in the chat.
Yeah.
Dampier, it's cool. It clarifies that if you bite somebody, you've got a special bite attack, and it uses your Constitution modifier instead of Strength for attack and
Yeah.
damage, and it does piercing damage. And it clarifies that you can get healed for the piercing damage, whereas before it was just the damage done. So
Mhm.
I thought it was funny that if you had found a way to get like flame tongue teeth, you would have in the past been healed for that extra like 2d6
Yeah.
fire.
Any kind of hacks you could have put on it.
Yeah, so it was like
It's
Hex or
still
Hunter's
weird that
Mark.
it's a Constitution attack, though.
Yeah, I think it opens up a lot of cool builds. And there's one of the dark
Yeah.
gifts. It gives you like there are a bunch of dark gifts, and they're really cool. Most of them have downsides too, so I think it's really neat. But one gives you like a death touch.
Yeah.
So at level 1, or when you first get it, you can touch a creature, you make a melee attack against it, and it does 1d10 necrotic damage. And then it scales up just at the cantrip level. So at 17th level, it does.
Is that also a
4d10.
con attack?
No, it says it's attack. So I guess it would use your. Oh, you make an unarmed attack, so it'd be your strength.
Your strength, yeah.
Yeah. But it's your action to do that. So I think monk shenanigans might be a little limited, but
Yeah.
otherwise and there's like no downside. And if you do it, you can ignore necrotic resistance, and you're doing necrotic damage. So I think Death Touch is going to have a very cool future. And there's Second Skin that's kind of like a werewolf, kind of like a vampire. You can transform, and it gives you a special version of Alter Self, so you can change into whatever you want, and it just gives you a mechanical route to handle that transformation.
Nice.
This is a great book.
Yeah, I'm excited to get my mitts on it and see what's in there.
Yeah.
The Domains of Dread was an awesome box set back in AD&D. So I'm curious. Like in my mind, it's less. It's the book is more like a Volo's Guide to Monsters than like a setting book. But I haven't seen anything yet.
Oh yeah, well, it walks you through like 30 domains, and it has a full set of rules on how to create your own domain, create your own Dark Lord.
Oh
It
yeah,
talks
I mean
about-
30
yeah.
domains. That's a decent chunk.
Yeah, I'm telling you, this is one of the best books in a while.
Yeah. Well, I think people have been waiting for Ravenloft for a while. I mean,
Yeah,
we had an adventure, but that's not quite the same. And also, like the thing that's kind of funny about Curse of Strahd that kept coming up is how tiny Barovia is. Like it's super small. Like we've got Rangers, they go to use the primeval awareness, and it's like, well, am I standing in my favorite terrain? And they're like, yes. So it's like the primeval awareness encompasses all of Barovia.
Yeah, yeah, and it talks about it can be a whole country, a domain can be a whole country or a
Uh,
single building. Yeah.
yeah, so I'm curious to see what they've come up with that. So we are right at the hour
Yeah.
mark. Final thoughts before we head out?
No, I just want to thank you again for having me on, and I really want to thank everybody in the chat, all the viewers. A lot of you might not have heard of me, so I appreciate you hopping on and listening to me talk, ramble a little bit. If you'd like, check me out on YouTube, Instagram, Twitter, Patreon, all at FryMinis. Join us on Discord every Friday night. We do live painting and lots of chit chat, and we have a good time over there. So please like and subscribe. And again, thanks to Nerdarchy. Thanks to Dave for having me on. This is great.
You're more than welcome, as always, folks. Links are in the description. Go check out Eric and FryMinis across the interwebs. And until next time, stay nerdy.
Stay nerdy.